Day 23 of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and tensions show no signs of abating. So far, around 3.2 million people have fled Ukraine since the start of the war. Poland has received the most refugees as the two countries share a border. Now calls for more aid to assist refugees fleeing the war in Ukraine are becoming more desperate. Let's take you to ENCA's senior reporter, Siphamandla Goke, who has been monitoring the influx of refugees at the border of Rebenne, and he joins us now for an update. Siphamandla, you are at the area called Rebenne, and it has a border between Poland and Ukraine. What's happening that side and where you are?
Well, it's the same like what has been happening, to other borders that we have visited. Joe Komane will show you. This border is called Rebenne. It's between Poland and Ukraine. Very busy. It may not look that busy, but people are crossing here using buses, public transport. There are ambulances that are going across to fetch people. The nearest town or city in Ukraine after crossing this border is about 30 kilometers, and we have seen a number of ambulances, convoys going in to pick up people and then coming back to Poland, and buses coming through. There are people who are waiting for their loved ones. But I've just spotted one lady, Thulasizwe. I saw her crossing the border now. I've asked for a minute of her time. We'll talk to her. She's from the Ukraine. Thank you very much for your time. When did you leave home and when did you arrive here? If you can come this side, please. Yes. How was your journey from Ukraine to Poland?
It was nice trip. I expected much worse, so it was easier. I'm glad. I thank God for that.
How many days did it take you to come?
2 days. It took 2 days.
Yes. If you can come this side again, yeah, perfect. I think the shade is affecting. Who did you come with? I see you've got your mother here and your children.
It's my son. He's 3 and 6 months, 3 years. And my sister-in-law with her daughter, she's 9 years old, so we 4.
Who did you leave behind? Your husband, brother?
Yes, husband, my brother, my father, everyone. All of them, most of all of them in Kyiv now, so I'm afraid of them very, very much. I don't know what will be with them. So.
From here, where are you going to? Where are you going to sleep? Do you have a place?
So next place in Warsaw. We are going to spend the night there, and then we going to Germany with volunteers. So.
How is the situation back home? When you left, how were things there?
How was situation in Kyiv?
Yes.
Oh, it was very terrible. Every hour, every night, every day, they are bombing us. So we hear sounds of explosions, and it's terrible, very terrible.
Okay, thank you very much for time. I see people are waiting for you here. Thank you very much. All the best to you. Well, basically the lady there narrating how her journey was. That's the story of hundreds of thousands of people who have made it across to Poland here. Some volunteers are here to assist those that are crossing this border of Rebenne. And it's the same story, every day. According to official statistics that have been confirmed by the United Nations, there are more than 3 million people that have fled the Ukraine. As Joe Komane will stay with the visuals of this family that has just crossed the border here, and right now kids are being given sweets and other things that they need just to make them feel comfortable. But Poland alone has now welcomed more than 2 million people, and that number will keep on increasing. And it worries authorities because authorities say now that they are running out of public spaces to deal with the influx. I think I've spotted a bus coming through there. Joe will try and show you those visuals. This is how people cross the border. They come on buses, and then some of them will be offloaded here, meet the relatives and the loved ones or volunteers. There are those who also come here not knowing what to do. Upon arrival, they will be assisted by volunteers. They will ask them what they need. Others will say they need, temporary shelter, accommodation. Others have got people waiting for them. And one of the gentlemen I interviewed earlier was from Germany. He said to me he was taking 20 people who have just crossed the border from Ukraine to Poland. He is taking them to Germany, and he came with 3 cars here. There have been growing calls for some or for more European countries to take more refugees because Poland alone is not coping with the influx to Lasizwe.
Yeah, just tell me about that while you're talking, Siphamandla, about coping. What about those workers and those volunteers who, stand at the ready to receive these refugees? How are they coping with the influx?
They are struggling, they are trying. They say their job is difficult because they need more manpower, they need more volunteers. They are overwhelmed because the numbers keep on increasing. Look at this bus, I think it's packed here, fully packed, and it will not stop. It will just go straight up, meaning it's going to the nearest city around Poland, and it's full of refugees from Ukraine. And volunteers say it's getting more and more difficult because they are putting in long hours. In fact, one of them was telling me earlier on, and I think we see more and more ambulances going across. Well, one volunteer was telling me earlier on that she spends about 18 hours a day trying to assist here. She sleeps for a few hours and then she has to be back because there are not too many people who can continue with her job. And remember, they also need to serve as translators because most people who cross the border, they are not familiar with the local language. So you need people to translate, you need people with medical skills and expertise, and you also need people that can actually drive those refugees that would have arrived to the nearest place of accommodation and shelter. Let's take a listen to one of the volunteers explaining.
We conduct humanitarian actions to people in Ukraine that need help because they are affected by Russian in Ukraine. We give them food, drink, and a place where they can rest.
Yeah. Do you see too many of them coming over, crossing over here? Some people have said they've spent 5 days to cross. Are there too many people crossing over?
Every day the border crosses by several thousands people. A lot of people crosses.
Okay.
So, Siphamandla, this is, compounding a refugee crisis that had already been there in Europe. Certainly the last decade or so, Europe has been dealing with a refugee crisis. And I think I heard you earlier on saying that officials are saying they are running out of public spaces where they can house these refugees, and urging other countries beyond Poland to open up their borders. It all sounds like a very familiar conversation around the issue of how to deal with an influx of refugees. What's your sense as you gauge how that conversation is shaping up beyond Poland, the rest of the EU and other neighboring countries in Europe?
It would appear that they are hitting that call. They are coming here to take more and more refugees. I'll keep on checking what is happening behind me because we see ambulances coming in and out. But we have seen a number of countries coming to Poland, sending people to Poland, sending volunteers. In fact, when we arrived, we went to the capital city of Warsaw. I saw people from all the way, Czech Republic, Germany, France, and Italy coming here to take refugees. And when we went to the second biggest city in Poland, which is Krakow, ago, it was the same story. We see a number of buses. The number is increasing of volunteers from Italy, Czech Republic, Germany, France, Hungary. They are coming over to take refugees. It's something that at least is encouraging to Polish authorities, but they are saying it's not enough. They need at least countries to open up their borders and take more people because they are really not coping. I mean, yesterday we interviewed one of the representatives from the city of Krakow, the second biggest city. He was saying to me they need more financial resources now to be able to buy food for these refugees, and they are starting to rent out hotels because there is a new emerging trend here of refugees becoming targets. Criminals are now targeting refugees because it's women and children. They are those who are targeting them, who would want to basically have them participating in human trafficking. Now Polish authorities are becoming more and more skeptical to release refugees to go and stay with private families. So therefore they are now renting hotels, supermarkets and shopping malls are being converted into humanitarian aid centers, and that is a big concern because they do not have enough space to accommodate them. But it would appear that some countries are heeding the call to take more refugees.
All right, let's leave it there. That's ENCA's Siphamandla Goge out in the area of Hreben, and that's in an area in Poland on the border with Ukraine.